I'm proud to say I'm a Navy veteran, and I'm proud to say I'm Army Reserve. And I think that has played a big success in my life because I learned the discipline, the organization part, the leadership skills,
Mhm.
but also be prepared for anything can happen at any moment. I would say those are my biggest takeouts from my experience in the military, which I think are useful for any industry, and any leader in the industry can use those skills.
This is Facility Rockstars, the podcast that celebrates the unsung heroes of our daily lives, facility professionals. I'm your host, Jay Culbert. Join me as we honor these great leaders, sharing stories, insights, and expertise that empower us all to learn and grow together. Facility Rockstars is sponsored by Coludus, operating the way you operate in order to make your life easier.
Welcome back to Facility Rockstars. I'm your host, Jay Culbert, and today's a special episode because we're bringing back a former guest, and he's going to talk about how what we discussed in theory and in practice actually applied to his world over the last 2 months. So, as a reminder, he combines military and management expertise as a former Colombian Navy officer and current facilities manager. Diego Ariza, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you to the audience for having me back.
Absolutely. So, Diego, we talked about several topics last time, four of which we're going to highlight today. You talked a lot about always be recruiting. In our last episode, always be recruiting. You also spoke about planning for preventive maintenance and how that plays out when something happens. We talked about AI, artificial intelligence, a bit, and we're going to touch back on that. And we both want to talk about giving back to society and specifically veterans at the end of the show here. So, as we roll into it, let's talk about that recruiting thing we spoke about 2 months ago, and how you approach recruiting, how it can be difficult, and how it's been playing out for you in the last couple of months, Diego.
You know, as much as you want to do things the right way with recruiting, sometimes things don't happen the way you want. And I've been in the last 2 months, I've had to reflect a lot on my recruiting skills. Reason why I say that is we've been in the process of changes in our team, and I've been recruiting in the last couple of months, but at least I'm gonna say 6 to 7 new people for my team. And some cases are just hard. Something's going on with the work. We discussed that before. Some people don't want to work. Some people, when you interview them, they're just amazing. They come in, they're rock stars, and they convince you that they're the best for the role. And then when you start working with them, then they're not so great, right?
Mhm.
So I've been finding myself in a lot of challenges on recruiting. Some people that dazzle not only myself but also my team. I have a nice process in place where we have a screening person, then I come in, or my operation supervisor comes in, and we interview the person, and then we get involved a third person in the process. And at the end of the day, we all the three of us we meet and we decide what we're going to do with the candidate, right? And after reflecting a lot, I had a couple of rough nights where I questioned myself really hard on what happened. The conclusion was we just did what the process requires, which leads me to my first conclusion is you got to have a strong process these days, but it's still going to fail sometimes. So what happens after that is reflect on what was wrong, what was right, and make some changes. You got to be flexible. Flexibility, I think, is rule number one for being successful in life. So we had to adjust our processes, and now we have implemented an extra step. So the extra step right now is kind of a practice. So we have person pretty much complete exercises of the role that they're gonna do with the company, and if they're successful, then that's another, I would say, another consideration we have when we want to move forward to offer the role to someone. Uh, but also understand that the workforce these days is completely different than, I don't know, 10 years ago,
Hmm.
20 years ago.
Sure.
So my solution might not be the best for everyone, the exercise part, but it's a way, and it's something I'm willing to try and fail if that's the case, and then move on to the next one, being flexible enough to
Mhm.
modify my process. Yeah.
Diego, if I could jump back, I think so. You made an adjustment, and that's what. So for the listening audience, like you're living this right now. You had a what you thought was a good process, and you adjusted and you added another element. You called it exercise. I might have missed that.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
That's the right thing. So you said it right. I After reflecting on our process and how we failed with some of our candidates who seem to dazzle everyone in the interview, but then at the end of the day, in the practice, they're not so great. We implemented like a practice part to the
Okay.
process.
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And so far, it's working. We have two new people in the team, and they were tested with the exercise part, and they seem to do well. It's still too soon to tell you
Hmm.
success or failure, but we'll see how it goes.
No, thank you for sharing that. I think it's great. Like you pivoted, you and your team pivoted, and you just added a new element to it, and you're in the process of seeing if it's successful or how successful it will be.
I think that's where it is. You got to be flexible enough to make changes in the process. In the Navy, we used to say your destiny is the same, but you sometimes you have to maneuver, switch around the way you do things. But at the end, you're going to the same goal.
Hmm.
So my goal is success, and but success has a lot of highs and lows, and that's where we're navigating all the time. And I think the audience will confirm that we all have some struggles like this one. Recruiting, I know for sure because I have the opportunity to discuss this with other leaders from different industries, not only facilities. And we are all struggling with the same thing. I
Mhm.
would love to see what the audience will say about recruiting these days.
Well, that's exactly why we wanted to have you back on the show. Because, like you said, most of the audience members, all of us are dealing with many of the same things. So, wanted to bring your situation to the forefront. And if others wanted to come forth and speak about theirs, or at least capture what you've done and use it in their own world, their own facility, that hopefully is helpful to them.
Thank you.
I wanted to also bring up, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, I called you or texted you or something in the morning. You said, Jay, I can't talk. I'm not available because, this thing is happening right now. And then later in the day, much later in the day, end of the day, it was still occurring to some degree. So when I'm speaking about it, I believe it was an alarm situation you had in your facility, in your building. And I thought it would be smart of us to say, okay, we talked about preventive maintenance, we talked about PM plans, and now, hey, boom, this happened. Everyone's dealing with this type of stuff. Can you share the experience with us and maybe some things that you adjusted or did to get through it and make it better next time?
I think that situation tested where we discussed pretty much during the entire interview last time. Leadership, communication, account management, um, you name it, preventive maintenance. So what happened was we had a life safety asset fail, and that caused the alarm to trip and give us an error. And of course, that's one of the life safety services are like priority number one. And we engaged, first of all, we engaged the team on let's check exactly what we did on the last PM, what we have on our file. So organization was absolutely useful in that case. We have everything in our system. We talk about CAFM before, so we had the opportunity to check all what we did on the last PM on this asset, and we found no deficiencies. And so we were able to determine that it wasn't something that was there before. It was just a new error, and we had to figure it out. So we engaged our life safety vendor. Hopefully, I'm grateful they were able to be quick on the response, and they figure out the issue. And then after that, of course, those life safety assets are not easy to fix. They need parts and repairs may take a couple of days. So the account management part, dealing with the
Mhm.
customer, having over communicating step by step where we are. This is what we're doing. This is what's next. Next step, next ETA will be certain day, certain time. Managing the expectation with the client was completely useful. And I can tell you, after a couple of days, situation was solved. We had to take some measures in place. I'm grateful we didn't have to use Firewatch. The
Mhm.
system didn't require that, and confirmed that with fire department. That was another thing. So coordinating all the parts, customer, fire department for life safety, vendor, and then your own team. I think we were able to navigate through the emergency, and it's now over, and customer is happy.
Well done. Well done. Now, you mentioned last time empowerment through delegation. Did that play out here? How did your team respond to this situation? And yeah, how did the team do? Because you've trained for this, and so how did that work out for you?
The team knows what to do. I told you we don't micromanage. We trust our team. We had when the emergency happens, we have some steps in place where I the person who performed or who oversaw the PM done before the emergency was one of my building engineers. So if I wanted to have another set of eyes, then my step is my other building engineer will come in and he's the one who's going to double check this work. But the delegation part worked really well because of what I told you. I trust my team. My team
Right.
knows what to do. We train for this. This is pretty much like the army. We train all the time for an emergency. We train
Hmm.
for years for something that can last just one day, you
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
And I think that's the key here. The key part is delegate, train, and make sure your team knows what to do and that steps are in place for you to handle these type of situations. It's not easy. It's not always the same. Your training may not be exactly how you expected the emergency to happen, but it's gonna help you. It's gonna help you prepare for these cases.
Hey, rock stars. If you're tuning into the podcast and are feeling overwhelmed by all the maintenance demands at your facility, don't stress. We've got you covered. Our sponsor, Coludis, is your go to partner to help you tackle all those demands and get them done right, on time, and with top notch quality. From project planning to execution, Coludis is there to make hard work easy. Visit coludis.com today to get started. Can you say, or should we talk any more about the parallels between military, your military training, or for that matter, probably a lot of people listening, and facilities or leadership and management? I know we touched on it last time. Is there anything more you'd like to share on that?
I'm proud to say I'm a veteran, Navy veteran, and I'm proud to say I'm Army Reserve. And I think that has played a big success in my life because I learned the discipline, the organization part, the leadership skills,
Hmm.
and but also be prepared for anything can happen at any moment. I would say those are my biggest takeouts from my experience in the military, which I think are useful for any industry, and any leader in the industry can use those skills. And there's a lot of bibliography for this kind of topics. If you allow me to give one to the team, to the audience, this is what's the name of this book? So there's a Navy captain from the U.S. who wrote a book that I'm not sure if that's the name exactly, but it's something like "This is your ship," and he talks about when he had to take over the command of the worst U.S. Navy ship in the entire fleet. And after 2 years, and through empowering his team and training and all, but also through leadership and trusting his team, he changed the whole ship, and that ship actually became the best ship in in the Navy. They failed every single inspection before that. After 2 years, he was the only ship who passed all the inspections. and he was able to modify it. So one of the takeout that I got from the book is he takes people. He was telling people when he got there, this team, they didn't believe it was the best ship. So when he was telling them, "Hey, this is the best damn ship in the Navy," they were looking at him like, "What are you talking about?" And after repeating, training, empowering, they started to believe it.
Mm.
So when you work on your leadership skills and you empower your team and you um, delegate and trust, people start to believe. It takes
Mm.
time. Of course, it took the captain 2 years, and I try to apply that during my career.
It's
I'll
an
give you
excellent example, Diego, because you can take the worst to the best, and it's such a good example of leadership. What I'm hearing also is consistency, training, repetition, all of the above there, and just great leadership and belief in the fact that you can do it, and that you can be the best.
that book. Actually, when I work, well, so let's talk about real quick about succession. That's another key part.
Certainly.
That's something I was discussing with another leader this week. Is when I hire my number two, my goal, my immediate goal was I need to train this person so good that when I'm not available, he's going to be able to take over. You know, and I may not be available because I won the lottery or I'm just sick. But
Mhm.
this person has to be trained to take over. And he talks about that in the book, the captain that I was telling you before, and it is key for your success. I'm gone every month for a weekend on my army drills, and 2 weeks a year for training. And when I'm gone, I can be relaxed and trust that the team is going to take the shift and they're going to take it
Mhm.
home. You know,
Outstanding. Outstanding. Great lessons. I wanted to, if I could, shift us a little bit, Diego.
just go.
Um, let's bring the discussion over to AI. And I mean, everyone in the world's talking about AI. We're talking about data centers, where to build them, how big they need to be, how close and proximity. So much discussion. And how does it apply to business? How does it apply to our life? Thought would talk about how it's being applied in your world, in your facility today, and how you might see that moving in the future.
The last time we talked, we talk about how we are using AI for like a calendar assistant, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
In these days, the company has shifted all pretty much half of the entire recruiting process to AI,
Hmm.
and it has helped a lot. So
How
the
have they
recruiting
done
part,
that, Diego? If I could, how has the company, when you say they've shifted the recruit half of the recruiting process to AI, can you share how they did that?
the initial screening part, is now all done through AI. So we have an AI assistant who pretty much starts the conversation with the candidate and does all the background screening part. That has saved a ton of time to the company. Our recruiters, the person who does the initial screening, when they take over the initial screening, half of the process is already done by AI.
Hmm.
So when they take over, pretty much what they're doing is talking to the person, seeing how familiar the person is with the industry and the systems, and depending on the what we require, their experience and all that part. And I take over, and me personally, I look more to the human part,
Hmm.
and then I get involved with technical part to
Hmm.
take over the technical side, right? But so recruiting is now AI with my company, and I'm grateful for that. The calendar, assistant is amazing for me. Keeps my calendar on track and
Hmm.
keeps me organized, and I appreciate that. It's pretty much like I had two or three secretaries for me working for me, and I don't have them.
Hmm.
So it's very useful. And what I see for the future, I'm excited to see all this boom, all these new computers are coming with AI, the new operating systems for phones that are coming up next this year are going to come with their own AI assistant and all that part. I'm excited to see how that is going to help us on our facilities software.
Mm,
I can wait to see an AI assistant reminding us that we have a PM that is going to be due in a couple of days,
right.
or or that we have some recommendations and deficiencies that we need to start a new work order for
Mhm.
a system that we PM'd recently. That's what I'm looking for in our industry, and and of course I use AI for my reports. I We discussed that before. I use AI in my daily basis when I want to simplify a report. Even there's, I'm not going to say names, but there's a very powerful AI tool in one of the biggest companies that offers software that you can tell the AI, hey, here's the data, create a chart with it,
Mhm.
and it will make it for you. It will make it for you, and then you just got to come in and make it pretty. If it's for a presentation that you need it, or if it's for a meeting, it's very simple these days. And so I'm researching every day what's going on, and I'm signing up for new apps and things. And then some ones I like, some ones I don't like too much.
Sure.
There's a couple of good ones out there.
Very smart of you to be doing that. You're obviously always seeking to learn and seeking your knowledge. And the fact, yes, we did talk about the assistant, if you were the calendar assistant last time, and a few other things, but we did not talk about the recruiting. And that's amazing. So 50% of your screening process is done by AI. It's
Yes.
just think about that alone and how maybe that will work itself, like you said, into PMs, maybe into building management systems. Where else can that be applied? So great stuff. Great stuff. You also talked, and I'm moving quickly because this is our second episode, Diego. So, you have so much to offer. I just want to keep moving. And you talked about wanting to give back to society and specifically veterans. And I think it's a great topic for so many reasons. Um, if you wanted to speak about that for a moment, because I agree with you, can you tell us a bit more about that, the whole giving back aspect, because you've been part of the military in 2 countries?
Veterans is a huge topic for me. Yes, I am a veteran, but I am currently an Army Reserve, as we discussed before. I see the veterans part as my major reason to give back to the community. I have so many friends from the Colombian Navy, and I've known a lot of people in the U.S. that are veterans, and they're struggling for so many reasons. With that said, I'm currently supporting a couple of veterans from my own pocket that I wanna get them successful and change their lives, and I hope everyone had a reason. Even if it's not veterans, even if it's just I don't know, animals or children. Of course, children. I'll tell you more if you want about an amazing human being I met this person, but with children related to children. But veterans is what a better reason to change someone's lives if that was a person who served your country and
Hmm.
who is a big part of the freedom you enjoy every day. We enjoy the freedom of this country and the opportunities we enjoy today thanks to them. So this is my invitation for everyone. Find a reason to give back to the community.
The organization we're going to be supporting, Diego, as you know, is Swim with a Mission. And it's a Navy SEAL veteran fundraising organization. They do so much good for Navy SEALs and veterans. And, thankfully, yes, like I mentioned, the Facility Rockstars team, yourself included, of course, will be there. And it's paintball with a mission. So it's really, we're going to be learning about teamwork, mental toughness, collaboration, and, how really you can apply those things both on the battlefield and in business. And it's a good way for us to learn more about veterans and military and give back, and also learn skills to apply in our world every day. So yeah, we're very excited about that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can wait. I can wait to meet with the Navy SEALs. I can wait to be part of the movement that continues along. That we can continue to support them in other initiatives. I know a couple of veterans who are doing Watches. The bands for the watches.
Hmm.
This is a veteran company. I support this company. I wear shirts made by veterans. Um, Different things that we can do for them. And then it's not just giving money. It's that you're buying something, but you're buying it with a purpose.
Absolutely. Well, Diego, thank you very much. I think the biggest message was applying everything you shared with us and taught us last time, with what you applied today. And another recap, like the whole alarm, the life safety situation, how it played out, and how your delegation and encouragement to your team really taught them how to behave and resolve the situation with AI. Specifically, not just the calendar, but or creating a chart from data, but solving the recruiting, not the recruiting, but the screening process for new employees. Like that is, these are skills that all of us can use. These are things that we can all use. So again, I can't thank you enough for being back on the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Of course. And if the audience members picked up anything new here from Diego today, if you laughed, if you learned, turn someone onto the show. Feel free to pass it around, and would love to reach more people. So this will conclude another episode, exciting one of Facility Rockstars, and we will see you next time.
It's a wrap. Another episode of Facility Rockstars is in the books. Facility Rockstars is sponsored by Coludus, operating the way you operate in order to make your life easier. Until next time, facilitate and rock on.